Eddie, obviously the biggest news this week is Conor Benn's interview with Piers Morgan. A lot of people, including Sam Jordan, saying he's been badly advised, didn't look good on camera. What do you want to say in regards to that?
He hasn't been advised. That's the problem.
Badly been
he hasn't been advised. Okay. That's the problem. Because he doesn't want advice, he just wants to speak from the heart and speak with the facts that he has. It's very difficult for a young fighter to go on Piers Morgan and speak, in the right manner, or not to get emotional or whatever. At the end of the day, and I'll always answer questions on it, I'm done talking about it. We've talked about it every day for 6 months. We're on the verge of announcing Conor Benn's next fight. I can't wait to actually announce his fight so we can talk about that. There's plenty to do in terms of the relationship with the British Boxing Board of Control with Conor Benn. And we hope to be the guys or people in the middle of that to help get through this process. I want Conor Benn to fight in the UK. And hopefully we can do that.
Call for that, Eddie. Obviously, he said that he won't release his 270-page dossier, which would prove his innocence, because of his pride against how he feels he's been treated by the British Boxing Board. So, firstly, what was your thoughts on that? And do you feel like he's been wrongly treated by the British Boxing Board?
I think that the main reason he can't share the document is because of the legal case that's about to take place. But also, it is down to his ego and his pride. And I think we've got to stop that. The board are also acting out of ego and have acted, in my opinion, clearly wrong across many different cases. But so have a lot of people, us included. I think when we got the decision from the board, I think we lost our head for 24 hours, and I was pissed off, and I was, but ultimately we all made the right decision in the end. Sorry, I'm just going to send this message. So I think that my next focus is to announce his next fight. And then also my focus is to sit down with the British Boxing Board of Control and saying, grow up, let's look at this information and let's make sure Conor Benn can fight in the UK.
Eddie, you're saying his next fight, Conor came out and said he wants the best available opponent. Is Manny Pacquiao at 44 years old the next best opponent he could face?
I think it's a huge fight, it's a huge name. Manny Pacquiao wants to fight Conor Benn. We've had a number of approaches from sites to stage that fight. He's one of 3 names that Conor Benn will fight next. I can't tell you if it'll happen. We're getting chased by Manny Pacquiao's team to make it happen. There is a chance.
I realistic that it could be Abu Dhabi where it happens.
Yeah, that's one of the places we're looking at, but we've had multiple offers for that fight to take place.
Eddie, speaking of fight announcements, look, I'm always beginning you. Katie Taylor, are we soon to an announcement, yeah?
Look, Katie Taylor, that's the first time I've ever seen her call out an opponent. And a lot of people in boxing have always said, she won't fight Chantel Cameron. That's a tough fight for her. She called her out.
Yeah.
Chantel's desperate for that fight. Katie's desperate for the homecoming on May the 20th. Free arena. We have to negotiate with both teams, which we're doing at the moment. The reality is when 2 people want a fight, generally it happens. And I'm confident that hopefully on the broadcast on Saturday, we can give you the announcement for that fight.
Conor Benn, he's made it quite clear that he's not using overconsumption of eggs as the reason for the field test. Instead, he's sort of hinting that the contamination happened whilst with VADA. Is it really likely that 4 tests, the A and B sample for both field tests, were contaminated by something you described as the gold standard in drug testing?
Especially when they won't let the scientist in for the B sample procedure. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? That's a clear flaw in the rules. There's stuff, other stuff we talk about. The sample was tested 4 times, 3 times it was negative. 9 days later, it was tested again. There's so many things in the report that make absolutely no sense. And Conor's not saying that something corrupt has happened here, but when you read it, and I wish he would get his point across a bit better, like he should have. He mentioned it on Piers Morgan, but this is not a spokesman. This is not a politician. This is not a lawyer. This is a young fighter that's in front of these lights, but ultimately the report is I think it's damning, and we look forward to it getting out there. But eggs is what the WBC scientists, and we know, we've looked, there's Conor's team have looked into this. There are multiple reports of contamination through eggs for clomiphene traces, but that's not what the basis of his argument was about at all. And yet still people think that was his excuse, which is very frustrating.
You said you want Conor to fight again in the UK. He says he's got no intention of doing that anytime soon. You've admitted it's not going to happen for his next fight, but you do want it in the future. How are you going to reconcile that with Conor? Do you think you can bring him round to fighting for the UK and applying for a British licence again?
I want him to fight in Britain. So I need to sit down with him, get this fight out of the way, and I need to say, look, we need to go through this with the board. He's suing the board. So ultimately, at the moment, they're miles apart, but the board have got a big ego on it. Conor Benn's got a big ego on it. We need someone to get in the middle and go, guys, let's go through this. Let's get you comfortable with what's happened. I've got some questions as well. Why did you take 5 weeks to cancel the fight? when you had the test results exactly the same time as us? Why did you allow us to proceed with the fight, spend £1 million in costs, and then decide to pull the fight 3 days before? Why didn't you give him a hearing? I mean, there's so many different things. But listen, I just want to move on, and that's why I can't wait to announce his next.
Eddie,
To that, Eddie, obviously he said to Piers Morgan the club theme was never in his system, and he did dispute WBC's like egg consumption theory. But then after that, he then said, I am cleared by the WBC. So kind of he's sticking by the WBC, but then he's not as well.
He's sticking by the facts. Right. He's cleared by the WBC. That's fact. He doesn't have to agree with the document, with their summary, but he has been cleared by the WBC. The people that oversee that testing process have cleared Conor Benn. Time to fight.
Thanks, guys.